Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Justin. Welcome back to my channel. And today, we're going to be covering some of the top decks for the upcoming BT6 and EX01 formats. Now, the reason why I lumped the two together, the BT6 and the EX01, is because, as many of you may know already, BT6 is being delayed. Was supposed to come out in October, now they're saying November, and then as long as they don't delay EX01 as well, that's supposed to release at the beginning of December, so we really only have like a 1 month gap where it's BT6 only. So the BT6 solo format is it's gonna be short-lived, so might as well just lump EX01 in there because there's a lot of cards in there that really change the game. Alright, they supplement a lot of these decks that existed from the BT6 and just make them even better. Alright, before we get started, usual stuff, of course, if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel. If you do, helps me out a lot, helps spread the video around. If you leave likes, you leave comments, you know, all that good stuff. If you want to, if you're super interested in supporting the channel, the best way to do that is through my Patreon. Link to that is in the description. Patreon members obviously get some perks like shout outs, their names in the end scene credits, as well as like certain tiers get special items like these custom metal memory counters with Gabumon on one side, Agumon on the other side. I'm also considering working on making some of these custom Agumon dice, and then just in general, I also have Playmats available. Yeah, I finally have a physical copy of my Playmat made up. So these are available on my Gumroad, as well as the Gabumon Crest of Friendship playmat. I will be printing one of those out for myself here shortly as well. If you're interested in any of that stuff, links are all down in the description. And of course, I have a Twitter, so if you want to stay up on any of the newest news, I retweet important information, news, especially product stuff like the new Tamer Evolution box set. As soon as that went on sale, I retweeted that out. So if you want to stay on top of everything much quicker than I can post these YouTube videos, then you're going to want to follow me over on my Twitter. Link to that is also in the description. And I have a Discord server just for you guys where it's all everything Digimon. You can go in there, you can talk Digimon, anime, toys, card game, whatever you want. But there's also a bunch of tables in there for you guys to have casual battles. And in the future, I will be hosting tournaments for stuff just like this. Well, small casual tournaments where people can win free stuff. So if that is something you would be interested in, well, I feel like I'm repeating myself here. Link is in the description. Join. Alright, let's jump in to what it is that we are doing. And I'm doing things a little bit different than I would normally, or I guess than most people have been handling this. So I'm not going to do a top tier, like, oh, this is tier 1, this is tier 0, this is tier 2. Look, the expanding format BT6 and into EX01, there are a lot of decks that become viable as like top winning decks. And you can just look at a list of tournament winners and it's all over the map. There's first place winners in every category, all types of decks. So I'm foregoing the whole tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, because the game is opening up to where there are a lot of decks that are really fun to play and all of them have a potential of winning. So I have broken down 2 to 3 decks of each color, basically just what I've seen. Like I've done in the past, I look at winning tournament decks over in the Japanese meta to get an idea of what to expect here, because we basically get the same stuff they get. There really isn't a whole heck of a lot of difference. Sure, sometimes new things get invented, new decks pop up in the meantime between their format and ours, but for the most part, they mirror each other. So that's a good place to start. And in there, I was seeing for most colors, 2 decks, sometimes 3, that were really consistently popping up multiple times, meaning that this is a top contending deck for that color. The only caveat would be that green, one of the decks, is technically more of a white deck, and then in purple, I picked 3 different decks, but they didn't pop up a whole lot. Purple, unfortunately, didn't have a whole bunch of winners. So I guess we will start off. These are not in any particular order, right? So, you know, just because you see them laid out here doesn't mean that this deck is better than that deck. These are all top contending decks. So I guess we'll start off with the reds. First deck up is going to be Red Japanese. Essentially, I'm just going to give you like a quick breakdown of the deck. I'm not going to go over every single card, just in general what the type of stuff you can see in these decks. And I'll do a slow scroll through so you can, you know, pause it or whatever. But that, you know, we're going to make this quick. Alright, so Red Japanese, obviously, it's based all around Agumon, Bail Agumon, Savior Agumon, and Japanese, as well as the Sistermon. Everything else is pretty much just designed for, you know, quick access to cards, or, you know, quick evolutions. Gunimon's thrown in there because Tamer evolutions, hybrid Tamer evolutions are just an easy pop off, get an extra attack in. But the whole idea is to build up the Japanese here through your Agumon line, or with Voltdramon for an extra security attack, and then from there evolve into Omnimon and hopefully take game. After Japanese comes Ancient Greymon. So Ancient Greymon actually takes more of the hybrid and just builds up on that. So Flamemon, both Flamemons, Agumon, both of them of course, Vitramon, Aldemon, and then Ancient Greymon. And then of course you're running a good deal of Tamers that you can evolve into Agumon and then into your larger Digimon, up into Ancient Greymon, and then Digivolve into Omnimon. Now, this deck is actually one that will continue to see future play as BT7 rolls out. Obviously, it's going to evolve because BT7 is going to have much better hybrid support. Alright, so those are the 2 main decks for red that popped up consistently. We'll move on to blue next. Blue is one of the formats that has 3 main decks that popped up consistently, and you know, unsurprisingly, you know what 2 of them are. So first up is going to be Blue Bond of Friendship. So of course we got the Gabumon Bond of Friendship augmented with some of the new EX-01. Not a lot, actually. This deck pretty much stays consistent with what was already available before EX-01, but similar stuff here. You got hybrid evolutions, and then Ancient Gabumon, and then Bond of Friendship as your, or you can use Matt Ishida to go straight into your Bond of Friendship. And then the second one, well known of course, is Imperial Dramon. So Imperial Dramon has never gone anywhere. Even though it fell out of a little bit of favor in some of the older formats, it was always there. It was still a popular deck among people who just didn't care to be top tier, but still wanted to have fun and take games, because Imperial Dramon is still a very powerful deck. It only gets better. So Imperial Dramon receives more support in the EX-01 set. As you can see here, there's a lot. You got the Vmon, the X-Vmon, the Pile Dramon, and the Imperial Dramon all come from the EX-01. There's a full line of support for this deck, and it gets even better because they already announced Imperial Dramon coming out in a starter set with even more support. So Imperial Dramon isn't going anywhere. And I hear rumors that there'll be the Imperial Dramon Paladin mode, possibly in BT-8. But here it is in its full glory. And then the last blue deck is the one that I am a big fan of, one that I even made a video about. If you haven't seen it, you can go check it out here. It is, while it's not as popular as the other 2, it's still a top contending deck, and it does fantastic stuff mixing the Hexablau and the new Azulongmon from BT6. So this blue deck takes full advantage of blue's ability to strip Digivolution sources. This is one of the few blue decks that really take that ability and make it shine, right? So all your cards are about stripping Digivolution sources as you're coming up the line, especially with your Hexablaumon line, but also Majiramon. By the time you get to your Hexablau and your Azulongmon, you're going to want sources gone. Hexablau and Azulongmon do two different things. Hexablaumon, once he gets on the field, pretty much locks down all the cards that don't have Digivolution sources. That's why you want to make sure they're all gone by the time you get to Hexablaumon. Azulongmon, he gets an extra security attack for every Digimon your opponent has with no sources, so he is a OTK. So you got Hexablaumon for disruption and locking down your opponent, and you got Azulongmon for just straight up murdering him in one turn. But yeah, this is one of my favorite decks coming out of BT6. And if we head back to our tier list here, we got yellow. It's gonna have two major decks here. Lord Nightmon, of course, still killing it as it always does, but there is another yellow set that comes out from the BT6, and it's yellow security discard. So we know the yellow security control. This is yellow security discard. So control is all about being able to, you know, recover your security cards pretty much on demand, or to recover enough to make it pointless for your opponent to attack you. This deck is all about taking advantage of gathering extra resources and stuff when cards are removed from your security stack, or having a certain level of security, like with Pulsemon, you know, having 3 or more or 3 or less, or being able to trash a security card in order to gain an effect. Especially with the new Dynasmon, you can trash security cards to be able to search for cards, and then once security cards are trashed, you can gain a recovery back. So you really have the control over your security, but you also benefit more when you trash security, which you have more on-demand security trashing with this set. So it's kind of like just an evolution to the yellow security control. And then, of course, Lord Nightmon. Pretty standard. If you don't know what Lord Nightmon decks look like at this point, where have you been all of BT5? But this one, interestingly enough, is a mashup between the /Agumon version of the deck and the War Greymon. So it has the DP deletion effects for controlling the board, as well as the War Greymon for just smacking down your opponent. You don't have to play both. You could play either or. You could do 4 Slash or 4 War Greymon, but those tend to be the two versions of the Lord Nightmon deck that stand out the most. But this deck does take advantage of both. Moving right along, we're moving into green now. Green technically only has one deck that popped up consistently, but the EOSmon deck was labeled as a green deck because it was the first format. This is like the first format that has like a lot of white cards. So technically, EOSmon's like a mostly white deck with a little bit of green support, but it was labeled as a green deck. So we're going to start off with Ancient Troymon, the true green deck of the format. So Ancient Troymon kind of expands upon green's ability to suspend your opponent's Digimon, which was a major hit with the Nidhoggmon decks. And so you'll see that there's Nidhoggmon as well as Ancient Troymon in this deck. And then the usual suspects you'll find like Agumon and Blossommon for Digisorption. Blockers like Cherrymon, Kabuterimon. And then cheap evolutions like Weedmon. So green's all about getting up to the big Digimon as fast as possible and paying as little as possible. And doing so, there is a little bit of green hybrid in here as well, because like I said, hybrid Digimon are just an easy, oh, I got a tamer, Digivolve, attack. You know, it's a quick, you know, out of nowhere attack that is going to be expanded upon in this format a little bit. And then even furthermore in the BT7 format. So now everybody's going to be thinking about, oh, well, you know, I see he's got a tamer on the field. Is he possibly going to Digivolve and attack me with that tamer? That's the thing now. And then, of course, the other green deck is the EOSmon deck. I didn't know if EOSmon was really going to be a big, heavy contender, but, you know, at first, I thought it was fun to play around with the 50-card EOSmon deck. But honestly, when you tie in, you know, the Morphomon, as well as, you know, level 4 EOSmon, and then level 6 Eosmon, and then Manoa Bellucci, it really starts to come into its own as actually a very powerful deck. So in this deck, of course, your Eosmon level 5 is all about getting more Eosmon on the field every time you attack, which was the cool thing about that Eosmon, and the fact that you can have up to 50 of it. But basically, its whole thing is being able to put copies of itself on the field. So this deck's not running 50 copies, obviously, but it does have 12 copies of Eosmon level 5. So you're gonna have a really good chance of having one in your hand when you go to attack to be able to play another one. And honestly, if they die and they go to the trash, it really doesn't matter. If they die in security, or if they're attacked by your opponent when they're suspended, they go to the trash, because that's when Eosmon level 6 comes into play. For every tamer both you and your opponent have on the field, you get to take an Eosmon from the trash and put it under as an evolution source, and then for every 3 sources, it gets an extra security tag. So that's why we're running 8 tamers in this deck, Manoa and Analog Boy, just because Analog Boy is actually a good generic tamer card. But then Manoa actually helps you find more tamers as well as other Eosmon, and can prevent your opponent's tamers from unsuspending. So if they have a tamer that they can suspend, like a Rada Sonata, well then that tamer gets stuck, and it stucks and stays suspended. Alright, so we're getting down to the last 2. Black is up next. So black, as you can tell, we have Diaboromon as well as Machine Dramon, but the Machine Dramon is not what you think it is. And I was surprised too, but we'll get into it in a second. So first up is going to be Diaboromon. So exactly what you'd think it would be. Caramon, Kurisarimon, Infermon, and Diaboromon galore all throughout this deck. It does take advantage of the new Diaboromon support in EX-01 versus having to use the tournament pack Diaboromon cards, because those are super expensive. But it does have the one promo Diaboromon from those same packs, which just happens to be one of the most expensive ones. But it's one you can't pass up because it gets extra security tax for every Diaboromon token, and that's what this deck is all about, is putting Diaboromon tokens on the field. Of course, the Infermon and Kurisarimon, they have like these abilities that protect Digimon with the same name, or special extras when you lose a Digimon with the same name. And the Diaboromon are all about either putting a token on the field or getting some sort of special from the token, like one Diaboromon can protect itself by deleting a token. The other Diaboromon puts tokens on the field when it attacks. This Diaboromon gets the extra security attack, and then the new Diaboromon from the EX-01 set, it gives blocker to all of your other Diaboromon, including the tokens, which makes them even more useful. And also it has a security effect. If it's pulled in security, you get to play a token. And then of course a Rada Sonata for more tokens, Catastrophe Cannon, Ultimate Flare for more tokens, and then Armageddonmon is your final evolution. Armageddonmon pretty much shuts down other level 7's abilities, their Digivolution abilities, because a lot of these level 7's have really powerful abilities when Digivolving. Armageddonmon shuts them down. Also has Rush, if you happen to want to play it straight to the field. Also, it has the effect that you can delete one of your Diaboromon to reduce its play cost by 12, making it a 3 play cost for the cost of sacrificing one of your tokens, because the tokens count as full-fledged Diaboromon. Sure, they're weak, and they're basically fodder for the other Diaboromon, or in this case you can use them as a blocker too because of the new EX-01 Diaboromon, but they're also good sacrifices to get an Armageddonmon on the field for 3 cost. So Diaboromon is a very, very cool, very powerful deck. And then for the other black deck, it's not like I thought when I first saw the Machine Dramon was like the little logo they had, little icon they had for the deck was Machine Dramon. I thought it was going to be a Machine Cyborg deck because EX-01 has the new Machine Dramon. that just has crazy potential, but it's not. This deck came up a couple times. It's actually a yellow-black hybrid security control. So it's the security control yellow deck, but upgraded with some black cards to make it a bit more powerful. But pretty much the same stuff, with recovery options. The new Seraphimon has recovery options, and then Machinedramon, Craniumon. Craniumon's there to protect your blockers like Machinedramon and Mechanorimon, and then Digivolve into Omnimon Zwart D. Alright, we are now down to the final category. If you're a purple player, I've got 3 decks for you that do well. Unfortunately, purple's not a heavy winner according to the list in this format, but these decks did take first place, so they are still strong contenders. So first up, we have the Dandevimon deck. For all you Dandevimon fans, it does get a little bit of a boost from the EX-01 with the new Devimon and the Wizardmon and Lady Devimon, but it's pretty much, you know, Dandevimon, and then Chaos Gallantmon and Titamon as the heavy hitters. And then, of course, Digivolving into Zwart D. The next one is Lilithmon Loop. So Lilithmon Loop came about in a previous format. People were able to figure out a way of looping option cards, recovering and getting to play more option cards. So Lilithmon Loop is back. I mean, I don't know if it ever really left, but it never really was a super competitive deck. But apparently it's doing well again. First place. So, boop, 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 boop. Final deck is Purple Rush. That was this one right here. I picked Jokermon because he was a cool looking card and was, I don't know, he was a cool looking card, so I picked him as the picture. But honestly, Purple Rush doesn't have a specific big boy Digimon. It's all about playing, you know, cheap or good level 3s, and then you can Digivolve into stuff like Black War Groundmon and then into Jokermon. Mainly, it's a Rookie Rush. The new EX-01 Agumon does have a cool effect to be able to trash a card in order to gain extra security tag. So he's a, you know, even though he's not level 3, he's a good fighter. And then you've got Grizzly Wing for playing level 3s to the field faster. Demonic Disaster for you can delete one of your Digimon to unsuspend. So especially like Agumon, you can trash a card, get extra security attack, you can attack with them, play Demonic Disaster, trash something else, unsuspend Agumon, attack again. Now you've cleared 4 security checks. Assuming he even survives, because he is a level 4, but that's kind of the whole shtick of Rookie Rush. You just throw stuff at your opponent, clear out the security as fast as possible, and win the game before they can build up into something that smacks you down. So there we have it. That is top decks from each color to look forward to. If you have a particular color you like to play, here's a good starting point. You could slow down or pause my scrolling when I talk about any of the decks to see how the winning first place decks were built. But now you know what to look forward to and what to start hoping to pull from your box openings, or what singles to buy to build whatever deck it is you're interested in. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. As always, stay safe, stay amazing, and I will see you in the next video. I just realized that these were all hanging here. Holy crap, I did a whole video with my freaking laundry hanging here. Oh well. I'm not doing it over again. So, have a great night. Peace.